Hello and welcome to the John Ark Show. Today's episode is called Porn Stars Now Have a Legitimate New Revenue Stream. As most people know, the porn industry collapsed a few years ago with the availability of all this free porn online. We'll tell you how that destroyed most of the porn industry, and then we'll show you a very clever new way that allows porn stars to begin making a legitimate new revenue stream. Before we begin, I want to encourage you to subscribe, like, follow, and comment on the show, as well as to tell you that the show is sponsored by HollywoodIsCalling.com. It's a company which allows you to purchase live calls with real celebrities. You can purchase a call for $19.95 or $29.95, depending on whether you want a 15 or a 30-second call. There are more than 100 celebrities to choose from, and it's a great way to buy a present for yourself or a gift for somebody you care about. Once again, that's HollywoodIsCalling.com. Give it a try. It's a lot of fun. Now, let's get started. Decades ago, the porn industry was printing money. In the early days, you could film a porno movie for almost nothing and then play that same movie in porn theaters across the country that were owned by organized crime and just rake the money in. In 1972, a porn classic called Deep Throat, starring Linda Lovelace, was produced and released. The budget for this film was about $25,000. When it was released in porn theaters all across the country, the reported box office gross, now get this, you ready for it? $600 million. Remember, that's on a $25,000 investment. Now, the accuracy of that number is very difficult to verify because at the time, the mob was using their adult theaters to launder drug money through. So a lot of those box office receipts were commingled with, the illegal revenue streams from countless other illegitimate activities. But there's no doubt that whatever the actual amount was, the money they made was astronomical for a number of reasons. For example, there were constant reports of movie theaters making so much money showing a Deep Throat around the clock that they had to have several deliveries and pickups throughout the day, where armored trucks or just rental vans would come by to haul away the cash repeatedly. That's how much money was being made. And remember, this is before a lot of people paid for their stuff with a credit card. So if you went to a movie with your date, you probably paid with cash, and that cash just piled up. The other issue is that back in the day, you almost never saw lines of people waiting to get into a movie theater because it would have been too embarrassing to stand out on the street waiting for your ticket. Because you never know. Some of your friends may have seen you standing out there, and they would have, that would have been the source of jokes for years to come. But because Deep Throat crossed over to the mainstream and was so popular and generated so much interest, that there were always enormous lines of people waiting to get into the theater. You'd see pictures in the newspapers every other day, of all the normal people waiting in line to go see Deep Throat. People who would never have considered going to see a porn movie, they still went to go see Deep Throat. Next came the DVD and the VCR. This technology took porn watching to extraordinary new levels. In doing so, it made billions of dollars as middle America loved the idea of being able to stay at home in their bedrooms and watch porn rather than go out to the dirty, nasty porno theaters and perhaps being seen in public doing so. After that came the internet. And the internet was like a nuclear bomb when it came to the porno industry. It changed everything. It caused a dramatic increase and explosion in the number of viewers who watch porn online. And it caused a tremendous implosion in the amount of revenue being generated by porn. Why? Because there was just so much free porn out there. When things were going really well for the porn industry, there were porn producers living in the Hollywood Hills who would buy 2 or 3 Ferraris a year for themselves and their girlfriends. These guys would buy a mansion with 6 or 7 bedrooms and put a different girl in each bedroom. Best of all, they could write off a portion of the house, of their mansion, on their taxes if they actually shot some of the films in their mansions or used a part of it for their office to conduct their business. Unfortunately, the money train came to a halt when the internet, um, when the number of free porn sites on the internet grew so dramatically that nobody wanted to pay for porn. Eventually, you had porn stars who used to make 6 or even 7 figures uh, making porn movies. They saw their income disappear, dried right up. Between the free porn sites and all the amateurs uploading videos of themselves because they thought it would help them get discovered or help them make money, the market completely collapsed. Nobody is making money in porn. So what did they do? So some famous porn stars set up their own webcams or websites and tried to sell access or videos of themselves. But that just became more and more difficult given the sheer volume of free porn out there. Next came the escort services. Some porn stars quietly and discreetly joined some of the escort services, but that's always dangerous and leaves you exposed to legal problems, especially if you get arrested. So that was problematic, and and a lot of porn stars were just plain afraid to do it. So how do you continue making a living as a famous ex-porn star who wants to keep making serious money? You become a celebrity party guest. Let's say someone out in the suburbs is throwing a cocktail party this weekend in some nice, upscale, rich, fancy neighborhood, and they want to make the party more exciting, but they don't want to spend 50 grand to have a real celebrity show up at their dinner party. So what do? They invite a celebrity party guest. That's code word for porn star who will show up at your party and just have fun and mingle, but no sex and no illicit activity. How does it work? Well, there are several categories of these guest appearances. One category is called below the radar. This is where a former porn star shows up and just hangs out with you and your guests at the dinner party. If you book her for an hour or two, at about the halfway point, um, she makes small talk and starts smiling, but somebody at the party mysteriously recognizes her. This is all prearranged, of course. They recognize her and they walk up to her and they ask her for a selfie. And it's done in a loud and boisterous fashion so that everybody else at the party realizes who she is. This is called a staged recognition. Once everyone else in the room realizes who she is, they all want selfies and they all want to have fun talking with her. The next category is called the wedding night. This is a cocktail party where everyone invited is told that the host is going to be introducing his new girlfriend to all his friends. He says, she's very shy and he wants the other guests at the party to be very polite and charming to her. He says that she used to be a nun, but then realized that that lifestyle was no longer for her. Once the party started, the celebrity guest porn star arrives and makes her appearance. The host announces who she really is and what she used to do for a living, and then reveals that they're going to get married next week, and he doesn't care if everybody knows that he's marrying a porn star. After a few minutes of stunned incredulity, the host tells all the guests this is all just a gag, and if anybody wants to take a selfie with her, they can. The third and the wildest one is called the celebrity dance party. This is where the host announces that he's going to throw a dance party, but that he's invited some new friends over. He says he's invited 3 older ladies who are all wheelchair bound and have never been able to dance in their lives. He says that they've recently begun receiving special new stem cell treatments that they're hoping will allow them to eventually begin walking, moving, and maybe at some point they'll be able to dance. The dance music begins to play and people at the party start dancing next to the girls in the wheelchairs. Miraculously, after a few minutes of loud dance music, the girls realize that they can start to move their toes, and then they can move their feet. And then they try it suddenly, and lo and behold, they can get up from their wheelchairs and they start dancing. At first they're dancing slowly, but then they start to dance more aggressively and suggestively. Before you know it, they're taking off all their old lady disguises and revealing themselves as the porn stars in hot outfits that they really are. Once people realize that this has all been a joke and they recognize these porn stars, then they all start laughing and having fun and dancing with them. What makes these celebrity guest appearances so lucrative is that they have a number of things going for them. Number one, everybody's clothes stay on at all times and there is no illicit activity allowed. Secondly, the theatrical nature of these appearances makes them really exciting and lots of fun. Third, the surprise of having a porn star at your party is really memorable and sort of fun actually for a lot of people. Some of these girls can do 2 or 3 parties an evening, and in doing so, they end up making more with these celebrity appearances than they did in their previous careers. Who would have ever thought that a porn star could make more money keeping her clothes on than she could by taking her clothes off? Only in America. Thank you for watching, and we will talk to you soon.